I feel like everybody knows we're getting a dragon expansion next. So let's watch this.
You can't get more fantasy than dragons. And sometimes Warcraft is a fantasy universe.
Dragons
are
dicks.
Some of the most powerful beings on Azeroth, who have an extremely in-depth lore that begins all the way back to the very foundation of the world. How did these magnificent beasts come to be? What is their purpose? And what exactly are they doing in the modern day? Sit back and let's learn everything you need to know about dragons.
Okay, here we go. Alrighty, boys, let's do it. Damn! Odin defeated Ragnaros.
Our story begins during the Ordering of Azeroth. The Titan Keepers waged war with the untamed elements on the planet and banished them to their respective elemental planes.
Got it.
But not all of the elements were imprisoned. Some of these rogue elements developed into the first ever proto-dragons.
What? I didn't know that.
The majority of
the elementals turned into... How the fuck does that happen? What?
Information we know about these ancient times comes from the novel Dawn of the Aspects. And in this book, there is easily one of the most horrifying and monstrous villains that has never really gotten the respect he deserves in-game.
That's the big boy.
The father of dragons, was a monolithic beast that dwarfed the rest of his kind. One day, an unquenchable hunger dominated his body, and he suddenly began to terrorize the other dragons.
Yep.
He performed the unthinkable and started to cannibalize the other proto-dragons. This had dramatic effects on his body, and he began to develop mutations like growing limbs and eyes all over his now decaying body. To put in perspective how big Galakrond was, his roar had the ability to cause devastating avalanches, and his wings were so large that the other dragons would mistake it for thunder.
He was a big boy.
His breath also had the ability to raise slain proto-dragons into undeath, which were called the Not Living, and their bite would infect other dragons who develop similar, unrelenting
I never knew this.
For dragon flesh, and they're literally zombie dragons.
What the fuck?
The Titan Keepers and their surviving proto-dragons teamed up to defeat this gargantuan beast. These heroes included the Titan Keeper Tyr, Malygos, Nozdormu, Neltharion, Ysera, and Alexstrasza.
That's cool. That's a... Oh, he dead. Well, fuck.
Howie! During one of the battles, Tyr's hand was bitten clean off by Galakrond. The Titan Keeper would later get a new silver hand as a replacement.
God damn.
This glorious, heroic battle would become legend for the people of Azeroth, and Tyr's silver hand became the symbol for the Knights of the Silver Hand Paladins thousands and thousands and thousands of years later.
Holy fuck, I never even knew that. So wait a second. So the main symbol for Paladins is a symbol of them losing? Because that's the main thing that they have. Is like, this is the one thing that it's that they lost. The guy lost his arm. Oh my god. God. Paladins, man, what do you expect?
Galakrond would later be defeated by the team of proto-dragons when Malygos flew inside of Galakrond's mouth with a giant boulder and freezed it in his throat. Then Neltharion flew inside his mouth and blasted a zombie dragon down his throat to push the boulder in further. Because Galakrond has little tiny proto-dragon arms, they were just too small to perform CPR on himself, and he choked to death and died.
Wow.
Yeah, kind of a crazy and strange death for the biggest dragon in Warcraft history.
That's so dumb. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Oh my god, that's so dumb. What the fuck? Rip Bozo, true. Oh my god, what kind of writing is that? I don't even know. Like, you know who had a badass fucking story was Li Shin. Li Shin, that they had to literally use a nuclear bomb to kill him. because they had tried everything else and it didn't work.
The final resting
Yes, keep in mind, guys, this was all part of the jailer's plan.
place for the Father of Dragons can still be found in the frozen tundra of Dragonflight. But the funny thing is, Galakrond has a bunch of more screen time in Hearthstone compared to World of Warcraft.
Oh, shut up. This is so dumb.
Maybe we'll see that change in a future expansion.
I think the problem is, like, you can never have a character like Galakrond in the game and have it feel fulfilling. Because it's the same as, like, Yogg-Saron, N'Zoth, Deathwing to a lesser extent, and there's, like, other games. It's the same thing I said before, like, with fucking Galactus. Like, how can you have Galactus in a movie and have it be in any way relatable? Because it's just like that the cosmic scale of it is so high. And it's like, yeah, even Sargeras, for another example, too. Yeah, you can't really have him in the story. It's like Galakrond is obviously like the Lord of the Rings has like the Anacalgon the Black, which is like the largest dragon of like all time, right? It's basically the same general story. And I feel like you can't really have a character like that in the story and have beating it feel fulfilling. Or the Jailer. Jailer's not that big. Cosmic Horror. It's like, I don't really know if it's cosmic horror or not. I don't know. Make him like a zone, like a wandering isle? Maybe. Literally had a guy who killed half the universe with a snap. Yeah, but like that was like a cheat code, right? He just had like, he put in like, AX, 3-4W spacebar enter, and then, it happened. Yeah, Bahamut's another one, right? It's like you can't really have like Bahamut at full power because he was so big. Like, the only time that you really fight Bahamut is like when he's like he's already dead. You're fighting like his like a spirit, kind of.
Displaying their awesome power, the Titan Keepers were impressed by the 5 proto-dragons that defeated Galakrond. The raw power of the Titans was infused into these 5 proto-dragons so that they could become the Power Ranger defenders of Azeroth.
Wow.
And protect the planet from any future threats. Wow. All of the Keepers agreed to strengthen these proto-dragons, except for Odin, because he's kind of an asshole.
Fuck him.
But they did it anyways. Ionar, the Titan of Life, empowered Alexstrasza and Ysera to protect all living creatures.
Girl power.
Morganon, the Titan of Magic, empowered Malygos to protect the powerful arcane that dwelled across Azeroth.
Yeah.
Amenthul, High Father of the Pantheon, empowered Nozdormu to guard the very fabric of time and space.
Damn.
And finally, Khaz'goroth, the Titan shaper
Man,
of
you really
worlds,
messed up here,
gave
man.
Maltharion the power of the earth.
You fucked
and
up.
whatever dwelled beneath.
Oh, is that actually
With
a new
their
version of Deathwing?
and
So that's what... I wonder if this is like what Deathwing was supposed to look like before he got corrupted.
whatever dwelled
Lord
beneath.
of Dirt. Yeah, no wonder he got mad.
With their powers combined, this council of beings called the Aspects became the first ever fully fledged dragons to ever grace Azeroth, and now it's their mission to be the world's eternal defenders.
But like, what did the dragons ever do? Like, what have the dragons ever done that mattered? Like, who gives a shit? AQ? Yeah, I guess AQ. Like, that's the first thing I can think of. AQ, yeah.
When the Aspects were granted this
drop
power,
loot?
in the sky, there was a rare celestial event called the Embrace, where Azeroth's 2 moons embraced one another. The only time a dragon can be transformed into an Aspect is during this event, which only happens every 430 years.
I hope that they, like, wouldn't it be badass if, like, whenever the patch, like, the dragon expansion comes out, the new eclipse happens, and Rathian becomes an Aspect, and it changes the entire skybox and lighting for everybody in the whole world? Wouldn't that be fucking crazy?
Next, the Keepers helped forge the dragons a sanctuary called Wimrest Temple. This giant tower would serve as a meeting place for all of the Dragonflights and be the heart
I fell
of
off
dragon
that tower
culture.
3 times.
One of the many parts of dragon culture is something called a Visage Day. Visage Day is when a dragon comes to age and they perform a ceremony atop the Wimrest Temple to choose their humanoid form. Dragons have the ability to transform into any of the races on Azeroth, and it's typically done so that they can spy on the mortal races across the planet to make sure they aren't doing anything nefarious. Or they just do it for practical reasons.
But like, that's not even really true. Like, every time that there's a dragon that is in a human form, most of the time, it's a negative. It's like Onyxia, Deathwing. Like, it's always bad. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's Alexstrasza? Yeah, that's true.
Dragons knew how to transform into these races before they even existed because, you know, bronze dragonflight and tiny white time stuff, okay? But here's the thing. Dragons are not just limited to humanoid forms. They can turn into anything. And I mean anything. There's this one part in the Dawn of the Aspects book where Alexstrasza just disguises herself as a giant-ass tree. Okay, now let's go through each of these dragonflights in more detail.
That's so stupid. That is so that's so dumb. Like, I'm sorry, I think that's so dumb. No, it's so stupid. Top tier writing. Some of the writing in WoW and like the literary device, like these devices they use, are just like, they're so stupid. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, yeah, like, why couldn't they just like make her, like, if she could transform, can't she just make her boobs bigger? Like, just do that. Like, I don't turn into a tree. Who cares? Nobody wants to see her be a tree. What the fuck was this? Who thought of that bullshit? I don't like to eat on stream. So I was taking a piss. I was holding my dick with one hand, and I was eating my cake with the other hand. Why? Because I want to eat. I don't like eating on stream.
And talk about exactly what they do. Starting with the red dragonflight and the tree-transforming queen of dragons herself, Alexstrasza.
Yeah, hilarious.
And the cycle of life is reborn anew.
The red dragonflight are the protectors of all life on Azeroth. This means that they're the ones to deal with any dangerous, overwhelming threats on the planet. They also restore devastated lands and protect ancient artifacts. One of the special abilities they have is
I never did that, though. Every time something bad happened, the dragons didn't do nothing. Well, in my opinion, yeah, Arthas, but they didn't do nothing to Arthas. That was Sylvanas that got his ass. Remember Deathwing? Yeah, they played Nordrassil, didn't they? Like, man, I guess there's some things, but like, when does this ever happen in the game? When is there? They burned undeads in Wrath of the Lich King, the Blight. All right. They're not that useless. But like, if the Blight's so bad, then why was Jaina able to just do the ice shit? You know what I mean?
Their fiery breath can either bring horrible destruction or rejuvenating life. We can see the healing effects of the fire firsthand during the Wrathgate cinematic, where they scorched the Alliance commander, Bolvar Fordragon, with their healing flames. I mean, doesn't Bolvar look healed? Just ignore the horrific charring all over his body, that seared his flesh beyond recognition. Look, he's healed, okay? Trust me. To this day, the Red Dragonflight and their Dragon Queen continue to watch over all life on Azeroth and protect it from certain death.
Before battle, I always assure my forces that through the fire and the flames, we'll carry on.
What?
Time.
Did she actually say that? No way. No way. Did she really? Oh my god. No, it's so fucking funny.
They pass, but the dream is eternal.
The other dragons of life are called the Green Dragonflight, who you don't see very often when exploring Azeroth. That's because this dragonflight mainly resides within the ethereal plane known as the Emerald Dream. This plane of existence is one of flourishing life that represents the world of Azeroth if it was never altered by intelligent beings. One of the special abilities green dragons have is they got that melatonin dragon breath that has the ability to put their enemies to sleep.
Yeah, I remember that.
Green dragons try to avoid combat to the best of their ability and pacify their enemies rather than kill them.
Yep.
That being said, In the dream, the green dragonflight works alongside the druids to control the ebb and flow of nature and protect it from a horrifying presence.
The Emerald Nightmare, Xavius.
A sickening corruption called the Emerald Nightmare constantly festers throughout the dream. This twisted dark magic alters life into a horrific mockery of itself and brings only madness and corruption.
I thought this was really cool. I always did. I thought this was badass. And you know how like you use the Shadow Priest dagger and it makes that little tiny bit of corruption at the end of the area in the fucking Emerald Nightmare? That was so cool, man. I loved it. The Rift of Alm? Yeah.
The origin of this dark power comes from the old gods and Xavius, the Nightmare Lord, who orchestrates the spreading of corruption across the dream. All of the hostile green dragons we see in-game from classic WoW to modern day have pretty much all been corrupted by the Nightmare. And even the aspect Ysera was cursed by the Nightmare, and in Legion, she was put down by the player characters.
Damn. This was really cool. It was so fucking badass, man. Holy shit, it was cool.
The Green Dragon aspect would return in the Shadowlands expansion in the Zone of Art.
By the way, they have made Tyrande way hotter. Like, I just saw her in that cinematic. I feel like Tyrande might actually be the hottest female in the game right now. I really think I really think so.
Wield, which is like the Emerald Dream, but for dead creatures. And she helps Tron to fight Sylvanas and stuff.
What are you roaring at?
I will teach you ignorant children just how little you know of magic.
The Blue Dragonflight, led by Malygos, is an enclave of dragons committed to protecting the use of magic on Azeroth and making sure it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. Malygos and his Blue Dragonflight went dormant for thousands and thousands of years after a major defeat I'll talk about later in this video during the War of the Ancients. And the dragon aspect was weakened, depressed, and a little bit insane. But then again, who isn't? Malygos would fully regain his power and sanity during the events told in the comic book series Shadowwing.
I just like, you know what sucks, man? Is it like what a comic book fucking series? Where's this shit in the game? Like, you know what they should just do? Is they should just like do an expansion where they actually don't add anything into the game. They just put the stuff that's in the books in the game. Just like just go back, add this into the game, and then we can move forward. Because like I never knew why Malygos was crazy. I was like, I don't know, why is he mad? Like, what's he mad for? Just tell him like stop. Like, why are we killing him? Like, I mean, he's got really good boots, yeah, but still, why would I do this?
A collection of books with just some wonderful artwork, huh? In the series, Terragosa, one of the members of the Blue Dragonflight, brings some nether drakes to the Blue Dragonflight domain called the Nexus in hopes of balancing the magical energies inside of them. Instead, these nether dragons try and take over the Nexus, and then Malygos eats all of them, which then restores his sanity and his power. After spending 10,000 years dormant...
Bro, who writes this? Like, who writes this? Like, what the fuck? This doesn't even make any sense. Like, why is this even happening? It's like the story just is, it's so silly.
Malygos realized that he really wasn't doing a good job of protecting the magic across Azeroth. The puny mortals on the planet had been abusing the power he was supposed to protect, and had summoned the Burning Legion on Azeroth multiple times and fractured the world in the process. Malygos acted swiftly and started to divert all of the magic across Azeroth's ley lines and suck them up into the Nexus. This violent siphoning of magic had dramatic effects on Azeroth's world soul and caused irreparable damage. Furthermore, the mages of Dalaran noticed that their spells did not have the power they once had. You see, this was Malygos's biggest mistake, getting between a mage and their magic. The Kirin Tor mages said, "Fuck you, you goddamn scaly son of a bitch," and teleported their entire city from Hillsbrad foothills and into the air above Crystal Song Forest in Northrend.
Wait,
these
so
mages
that's
then
why
put
it
their
happened?
war against the Lich.
Whoa. That's why they moved Dalaran? Bro, I thought it was a plot device. I thought they were like, yeah, so why do we move Dalaran? Yep, that's right, we moved it. Why'd you do it? Well, it's over there now, so here we go. Let's move on. That was it. I didn't know there was a whole story about this. Jesus.
King on hold and teamed up with the red, bronze, and green Dragonflights and the Horde and the Alliance and started the Nexus War.
Okay.
While Malygos may have had some valid criticisms about the mortals on Azeroth, destroying the world while trying to keep the magic away from them was no way to solve the problem, and he was defeated within his domain called the Eye of Eternity.
That's right. I beat him, and whenever I was I raid led this whole thing. I raid led the first kill on our server of Malygos Tin Man, and after we killed him, I quote accidentally linked my Champion of the Frozen Waste title into trade chat, and everybody was talking shit. Like, they're like, you fucking, you're just trying to brag about this. I'm like, that's right, I am. I'm better than you, and you're not even close to as good as me. I'm a Champion of the Frozen Waste, and you're a bitch. So there it is. And I was talking match. That's impressive. Yeah, back in the day. It was a long fucking time ago. But yeah, it was a good time. Then you woke up. Nah, bro, I got the screenshots. You go watch the video. It was the same thing. I was so happy about that, man.
Unthinkable! The mortals will destroy everything. My sister, what have you...
I did what I had to, brother. You gave me no alternative.
But Malygos...
And so ends the Nexus War.
But Malygos was right. The humans were fucking everything up. Like, of course he was trying to take away their magic. Like, wait a sec. Yeah, Malygos was right. Like, they were summoning in the Burning Legion. They had, like, the whole Sundering thing. Like, it was really bad. Like, Jesus.
This resolution pains me deeply.
Malygos did
but the
nothing
destruction,
wrong.
the monumental loss of life had to end. Regardless of Malygos's recent
What about the Burning
transgressions,
Crusades life?
I will mourn his loss.
I won't. Check out the sick new dragon mount I got. Cool!
Damn.
The Blue Dragonflight then had another aspect leader called Caligos for a brief moment in time, but now, in the modern day, the Blue Dragonflight's numbers have dwindled to such a low amount that the flight was abandoned altogether.
What?
The surviving dragons went their separate ways and are no longer unified by
That's
a single
sad.
cause.
Wow. I always thought the Bronze Dragon fight was the coolest one. I really did. I thought it was the coolest fucking one, man. How it's like, yeah, it's so badass. Because, like, one thing, like, I usually hate time travel stuff. I've said this many times, I'm like, time travel cringe. No, not time travel again. But, like, something about them, I like the idea of the infinite dragonflight, how they're trying to change history, and, like, Nozdormu is trying, like, even, like, the idea of, fucking, like, the opposite, like, the evil version of Nozdormu, whatever the fuck his name is, I forgot even what it was, and, it's, like, where he's trying to predict, you know, or stop the end of his life. Murzond, yeah, Murzond, there you go. That's so fucking cool to me, I love it.
Time is a tangled web. Try not to dwell on all the loose ends.
That's what Steve should say every single time that we call out the retcon. That's honestly what he should say. Like, every single time that, like, they have a problem with, like, they get, like, oh, but wait, I thought Arthas, wait, time is a tangled web. Nope.
Nozdormu, the Lord of Time, and the Bronze Dragonflight have the ability to travel through time to the past, present, and future. Their ultimate mission is to maintain the true timeline on Azeroth. Whatever that means. Generally, the Bronze Dragonflight does not involve themselves in events on Azeroth unless they are absolutely needed. Some examples include when Nosdormu blessed Nordrassil to give the Kaldari Elves eternal life, or when the Bronze
That's
Dragonflight
convenient.
played a role in the War of the Shifting Sands.
Yeah, they're so cool. But
the Bronze Dragonflight's real enemy is the Infinite Dragonflight. This is a flight of dragons corrupted by the old gods and are trying to manipulate the very fabric of time and space for their dark masters to be victorious.
I find that to be so stupid. That is so stupid to me. Oh, they're manipulated by the old gods. Why? Why not have it be where it's like, in my mind, I think what is a way cooler story? The way cooler story is the Bronze Dragonflight dragons that look forward into time to see their own death in the end of times, and are trying desperately to stop it and to like prevent it and alter the timeline, where the Bronze Dragonflight has to stay the course and keep everything the way that it needs to be in the timeline. You know what I mean? Like that's way fucking cooler than like, oh, and also like there's like an existential level of philosophy into it, and it's really interesting. But fucking, oh well, there well, you got so there was the tentacle boys, right? Okay, so you know how they corrupt stuff? Yeah, okay. Yeah, you see where I'm going, right? Yeah, that's what they do. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, what kind of garbage is that? Like, it's just, there's no, like, timeline altering. Like, obviously, like, Bronze Dragonflight, what's, like, kind of like a vague parallel with Bronze Dragonflight is Alexander in Final Fantasy. Is that the Alexander ending was really good because it had that existential level to it. You see what I mean? Like, and the existential level is the most interesting thing about it. Like, the rest of it is just boring. It's made for a 12-year-old demographic, 20 years ever since. Exactly. Did you finish Alexander? Yeah. So, like, basically at the end of Alexander, there's this girl, Mid or whatever the fuck her name is. She was this emo girl, and she was trying to find this guy who she was simping for, and the guy got pulled into the void, and then Alexander was able to reunite them, and then change them into a timeline way far back into the past, to where they actually had a life together, and they ruled over their people, and the book that you read that tells you about the information about Alexander was actually written by them. And, like, that was really cool because it's a completely closed circuit. You see what I'm saying? Like, that was badass. How do you remember that? What do you mean? I did it.
Also an Infinite Dragon pirate called Time Cat and Hooktail.
Stupid.
This was added in Shadowlands, and I will not elaborate further.
The
leader of the Infinite Dragonflight is a dragon named Muruzond, who's actually Nosdormu from the future.
That's so
you see,
cool.
Since Nosdormu can see everything past, present, and future, he can also see his own death.
Yes.
Muruzond is a future version of himself who's trying to subvert his own death by destroying the true timeline and helping the old gods in the process.
That's so badass.
You can see the Infinite Dragonflight try and disrupt the timeline firsthand in the Caverns of Time dungeons, like Escape from Durnhold, the Black Morass, and the Culling of Stratholme.
Yep.
We finally defeat Muruzond in the End Time dungeon, which is a future version of Azeroth that will exist if the old gods win. This is also a good time to mention that Nosdormu and Muruzond are both voiced by Martin Sheen, who is a famous actor from these films, and he also has the most...
Bro, like The Departed, one of the best movies that's ever been made. If you haven't seen The Departed, it came out, I think, in 2006, 2005. Probably one of the greatest movies ever made. Like, you have to see that movie. Like, Apocalypse Now is also good, but, like, I love The Departed.
Over the top, hilarious line delivery ever from Muruzond.
The powers of the hourglass do nothing to me.
The powers of the hourglass do nothing to me. With help from the player characters, Muruzond is defeated.
You know not what you have done. Fool, what I have seen. At last it has come to pass. The moment of my demise. The loop is closed. My future self will cause no more harm. Still, in time, I will fall to madness.
How do we have a story that is so cool like that? That is awesome. That's so cool because he knows it's going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it, right? Because it's a true time. Like, how can we have something that's so good and then at the same time, so yeah, Malagos, there was these other dragons and they throwed up and so Malagos had to they were going to take over, so Malagos ate them. And fuck, what happens then? He becomes sane again. But wait a minute, I thought Galakrond, whenever he ate dragons, it made him turn crazy and grow extra arms. Oh, really? Time is a tangled web. Don't confuse yourself on the loose ends. How? Who the fuck writes this? Like, who's deciding this? Like, who's this? Who? Like, you know what? You know what it is? It's there's like 10 people deciding it, and one person's a moron, and one person's not. This Nosdormu questline is fucking great. I love it.
And you, heroes, will vanquish me.
That's so cool. I love it.
The cycle will repeat. So it goes.
Also, in this future, catastrophic end-time version of Azeroth, there's a dragon impaled on the Wimrus Temple. And yeah, maybe we should talk about that guy, huh?
Yeah. There he is, dude.
Let's jump all the way back to when the dragons
Yeah.
first got their powers. You know, while the other aspects got to enjoy being the protectors of life, taking naps in the Emerald Dream, controlling the flows of powerful magic, and traveling through time and space, you know what Neltharion, Guardian of the Earth, had to do?
Dirt boy.
Sit in a cave.
Bitch.
Bored as hell.
Yep.
Furthermore, having the powers of an aspect was a gift, but also a burden. The force of Azeroth's Earth constantly weighed down on Neltharion. He could feel every single stone press upon his body, and the insurmountable pressure became overwhelming. This weight was his burden to bear alone, and ultimately, he found it to be too much.
With a whisper, the Earth Warder bent to my will.
The Earth Warder sought relief from this immense suffering, and that is when the whispers of the old gods
N'Zoth
imprisoned
helped
deep
him.
within the earth
I didn't know that.
invaded his very soul.
Yeah, I
It
wasn't
was the
sure
old
about
gods
this.
that could free Neltharion from this burden, and not only that, he could also be granted powers beyond his imagination if he served them. He could create a world where only his black Dragonflight dominated Azeroth.
Why?
Your betrayal will be glorious.
Why did I do that?
Neltharion's schemes would not come to fruition until the events of the War of the Ancients, when the Burning Legion first invaded Azeroth. With an ancient artifact called the Dragon Soul.
That is the eternal pancake. This is the device that destroyed Deathwing. This is the eternal pancake. You have to watch out for this.
Neltharion convinced the other dragons to funnel a portion of their power into the disc so that it could
Why?
be used as a powerful weapon against the demons that invaded Azeroth.
Strike down your allies and begin your true ascension.
But when it was time to actually use the disc against the demons,
Yeah.
Neltharion said
Fuck you. Damn.
he used the Dragon Soul to blast demons, night elves, and dragons alike.
Just killed everybody.
The blue Dragonflight surrounded the crazed Earth Warder. Malagos tried to reason with him, but it was futile. One of the blue dragons struck by the Dragon Soul was named Sindragosa, who was hit so hard by the blast, she flew halfway across the world and landed in Northrend, where she would later be resurrected by the Lich King. And she's on the Wrath of the Lich King login screen, and she's all like,
That's really fucking cool. God damn, I didn't know that either. Oh my god. That's badass. Holy shit, yeah, that is really, really cool.
All of the Dragonflights left to ruin.
Imagine if you knew that in
Eltharion
game.
retreated to his lair as his body began to crack from the overwhelming sheer power he now possessed. Magma and fire flowed from his chest, and his eyes burned with flaming red. His goblin and Drogbar slaves
Here we go.
crafted him adamantium steel plates and bolted them to his body to stop him from splitting apart from the raw power he now possessed.
Damn. So it's like those belts that powerlifters wear whenever they're gonna do like a really big bench press. They just put a lot of those on Deathwing. That's basically the same thing, right? Yeah.
I am Deathwing, the Destroyer, the end of all things. Inevitable, indomitable. I am the Cataclysm.
See, I read the Deathwing book whenever I was in high school. So whenever they announced Cataclysm, I was equally hyped for Deathwing as I was for the Lich King. I know that might sound weird, but I was actually equally as hyped for it. Because like Deathwing was like so powerful in the books, it was insane.
Okay, so for the rest of Deathwing's lore, I'm only going to be focusing on the essentials
Okay.
of his story.
Uh-oh.
Because it's a lot. Okay, so
Yeah.
after Deathwing's transformation, the Dragon Soul was renamed into the Demon Soul.
Oh, that's
and
smart.
Malfurion teleported into his lair, and he stole it. Then
Idiot
Illidan and
Deathwing.
Ajara's army stole it from Malfurion, and they tried to use it to open up a portal for the Burning Legion within the depths of the Well of Eternity. But then the spell was disrupted and reversed, and the portal started to suck up all of the demons out of Azeroth, and the Sundering began,
Oh, that's
aka
great.
the world being split apart. As this is happening, the Demon Soul is falling into the Well of Eternity, but then suddenly Nozdormu from the future appears and grabs the Demon Soul.
That's
and he turns to
convenient.
the camera, and he gives a cheeky wink, and then he teleports out of existence.
Got
After
him.
the Sundering is over and the world is split, future Nozdormu pops back into existence again and gives the 4 other aspects the Demon Soul, and they put a
Why didn't he just go back in time and tell them not to put the power into the soul in the first place? That probably seems easier to me. Then we just avoid this whole situation. Time is a tangled web. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Actually, to be honest, it actually makes sense that like now that I'm thinking about it, it makes sense that he wouldn't have done that because they needed the demon soul, the dragon soul to kill Deathwing later on. So they would have needed to empower it because it was necessary to kill him later on in the future.
spell on it to prevent Deathwing from using it, and then
'Cause
they
remember,
hide it
Thrall
deep
uses
within the
it.
earth under Red Ridge.
So yeah, actually that
Meanwhile,
one
after
makes
the
sense now
Sundering,
that I think
Deathwing
about it.
returns to his lair to find out his slaves have started an uprising, sparked by a Tauren named Holden High Mountain. So he leaves and takes a long nap inside of Deepholm. Thousands of years pass and the Dark Portal is opened and the orcs are pouring into Azeroth and the First War begins.
Well, shit.
Deathwing awakes from his slumber and disguises himself as a human noble and a Blackrock orc and spies on both sides of the war and kind of just
Smart,
hangs
both
out.
sides.
The orcs win the First War, and during the Second War, Deathwing finds the Demon Soul. Turns out trying to hide it from
convenient.
Deathwing, the aspect of the Earth, by putting it in the Earth is not a good idea.
Why would
Problem
they-
is,
why would
Deathwing
they do
himself
that?
cannot control it because of the ward the aspects placed on the artifact.
Well,
so
what?
Deathwing grants magic convenient visions to Zolthred the Whacked, chieftain of the Dragonmaw Orc clan.
Bro, wasn't he in Warcraft 2? Wasn't that guy in Warcraft 2? Bro, I remember his name. I remember like, I'm like, that guy got a dumbass fucking name. I remember him.
And leads him to the Demon Soul. These orcs then kill the red dragons protecting the artifact and claim it as their own.
Well, that's
and the
convenient.
orcish warlock Necro Skullcrusher wields it.
No. No.
Got mail.
Deathwing sends Necros more magically convenient email dream visions on how to use the Demon Soul, and the orcs use it to enslave Alexstrasza
Oh.
and her red dragonflight.
All
They
right.
imprison the Dragon Queen within the abandoned
There we
dwarven
go.
city called Grimp Atoll. The Dragonmaw clan then use the red dragons as mounts to fight against the Alliance and force Alexstrasza to make more eggs in her imprisonment. Despite this, the Horde still loses the war, and the majority of the orcs fled back into the Dark Portal, and Deathwing follows them. He
What?
strikes a deal with the orcs and offers them some Black Dragon children in exchange for safe passage into Draenor. They agree, and Deathwing flies to Gorgron and has a secret lair with a bunch of Black Dragon eggs.
What?
The Gron and the ogres living there did not like their territory being invaded, especially
Why?
their leader named Gruul. Gruul teams up with Khadgar, Turalyon, and Illyria, who are also on Draenor, and they fight Deathwing, and Gruul impales a bunch of black dragons on spikes around the zones, granting him the title the Dragon Killer.
Well, then why'd we kill him? That guy seems like he did us a favor. Why'd we kill him? Gruul seems like he's not that bad. We never heard his side of the story, you know? Loot, he does have that trinket. It's pretty good.
Deathwing said,
"Fuck this shit, I'm out,"
and flew back to Azeroth, where he got
Bro,
into another...
what do you mean? Deathwing, like, is so powerful. Like, he can literally unmake the entire continent, but he couldn't deal with Gruul? What do you mean?
Fight with mages from Dalaran and faked his own death by falling into the sea. Meanwhile, back on Draenor, Ner'zhul opened up a bunch of portals which led to the world being destroyed and turning into the Outlands.
Yeah.
The remaining black dragons
That was
on
a fuck
Outland
up.
were twisted by the magic and turned into nether drakes.
I had no fucking idea about that. I actually had literally no fucking idea about that. That is so badass. Imagine how much cooler the game would be if we knew this. Like, that would be, wouldn't that be crazy if we actually knew what happened in the game? Like, that's nuts. We did? No, I didn't know that. Like, you'd never know this shit. Because, like, here's the thing. Is, like, they get you, Final Fantasy, the reason why I remember the lore in Final Fantasy is that Final Fantasy presents the lore as a tweet. And WoW presents the lore as a twit longer. Like, I'm not going to read a twit longer. Like, you know, it's like, okay, finally coming clean about this, and there's a twit longer. I click on it, and I don't even read it. I just scroll down, and if it takes me more than 2 seconds to scroll the way down, I'm like, you know, I'm happy for you. We're sorry that happened, whichever one. You know, like, I just move on. It's too much.
Deathwing then infiltrated the Alliance again as a noble named
Sounds like a
Lord
you
Deval
problem?
Prestor,
No, I think
but
most
he was
people do
pretty
this.
sussy to the other nobles and the Kirin mages, and he didn't end up doing much. The three remaining aspects, Malygos, Ysera, and Nozdormu, help free Alexstrasza from Grim Patol, and with the help from a human mage named Ronan, he destroys the Demon
That's the
Soul,
guy.
which grants all of the other aspects full power once again, and Deathwing fled deep home into hiding again.
Okay.
Classic WoW comes out, and Deathwing's children, Onyxia and Nefarian, are causing trouble in Azeroth.
Fuck.
Onyxia disguises herself as Katrina Prestor, and no one bats an eye that she has the same last name as that sussy guy that tried to infiltrate the Alliance beforehand.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah, wouldn't that be like, it's kind of like a dead giveaway. Yeah, I mean, like, it's
Nefarian
right
has
there.
a lair in Blackrock Mountain where he's working on experiments to make a Dragonflight that can really taste the rainbow, and he's combining all of the dragons together to make the chromatic Dragonflight. But both of them are defeated. Random
Dead.
side tangent here. One of Nefarian's creations was a 5-headed dragon called Chromatus. Now, Nefarian died before he could give this abomination life, but later the Twilight Cultists empowered it in the book Twilight of the Aspects. Now, Chromatus only makes an appearance in this book and almost single-handedly kills the other aspects and is literally indestructible. Despite this, Chromatus is defeated, but he doesn't die. So he was thrown inside of an arcane prison. So perhaps, maybe in the future, we will actually see him in-game.
There's a lot of parallels with this whole story with Greek mythology, whenever you really think about it, right? Because you have, like, so basically, if you look at, like, the Dragonflight as the Olympians, and then you look at, like, Kronos as Galakrond, and then obviously this character is like Typhon. Think about it. Like, yeah, that's actually, like, I never even knew about this at all. Holy shit.
Tangent over. Onyxia and Nefarian's mother and Deathwing's baby mama is a black dragon
It's kind
named
of the same
Sinistharia,
general story.
also known as Sinestra, who hates Deathwing and wants to make her own Dragonflight. She goes to Outlands, steals some nether dragon eggs, and flies to Grim Patol, and uses the shards from the Demon Soul that I guess were just left on the ground to create the Twilight Dragonflight. But actually,
This again, like, that's the same plot device. Quick, champion, throw the eyes over the bridge. Throw the eyes so nobody can ever get them again. Nobody will ever see the eyes of Nidhogg again. Throw him off the edge. Like, why?
Deathwing planted this idea to make the Twilight Dragonflight in her mind because, writing. She is killed by her own experimental children and is later resurrected by Deathwing, and oh my god, this plotline sucks. Thousands of nerds stand outside of game stores midnight December 7th, 2010, and the Cataclysm expansion drops.
For World of Warcraft Cataclysm, let me hear it.
Cataclysm! Cataclysm!
I was there, by the way. I was there at the GameStop, waiting in line, and it was so cold. You know what happened in that one right there? Is so Cody and Jeff and my mom were sitting in the car, and they put me up to it that I had to sit out there in the literal snow, the freezing cold, while all of the three of them sat in the car with the heater on, talking about how much fun it was going to be to fly around the Azeroth. Like, that's what happened. I had to sit out there by myself and then listen to this guy that didn't even know the mounts from ICC. And he was trying to talk to me. I'm like, please, do not talk to me, noob. Like, you don't know anything. Well, who are you?
Meaning Deathwing has awoken once again. He erupts out of the earth, which tears a rift between Azeroth and the elemental planes, causing natural disasters all around the world. The Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor are revamped, yada yada yada, and Deathwing gets punched in the face by Dwarf. Later in Twilight Highlands, Deathwing gets in an epic fight with Alexstrasza, but it's also an in-game cinematic from over a decade ago with no sound effects whatsoever. So you get this awesome scene, oh wow, where they're rolling down the hill.
In my opinion, like, Deathwing, like, Alexstrasza would not, there would not even be a fight in my mind. Like, Deathwing was so ridiculously fucking powerful, it would not even be a chance. Like, there would be like, no, like, she'd just lose in a second.
Oh, wow, that's so epic. Alexstrasza loses the battle, but Deathwing is wounded and flies away. Later in the expansion, the aspects regroup. Kaligos is now the blue Dragonflight aspect, and Thrall is in place of the earthen aspect. They decide that if they are ever going to defeat Deathwing, they are going to need to obtain the Dragon Soul in its purest form. Before they do that, they go to the future to deal with Murozond, like I mentioned earlier in the video. In this hypothetical future, Deathwing became so powerful, his body started ripping apart at the seams, and since the world was fully dominated by the old gods, he was no longer useful to them, so they mind-controlled him and forced him to impale himself on top of the Wimrest Temple, which... God damn, that is badass! Okay, now...
I was to say, that was cool. That is actually cool. I never knew why he was there. That's badass. Yeah, it's metal. True. Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of stuff I want to see. That's fucking cool. Like, what's so weird about this dragon story is, like, half of the points in the story are fucking S-tier badass story points, and the other half of the points are like, oh yeah, so he made him mad, so we ate him. And then, so we put an acorn in his mouth, and he died because he couldn't breathe. Okay. All right. Yeah, got it.
Murozond killed, now we can travel back in time to the War of the Ancients, grab the demon/dragon soul, and then travel back to the present time and start the Dragon Soul raid, the last raid in the Cataclysm expansion. Okay, so the actual Dragon Soul raid gets ragged on a lot by the player base by being pretty meh gameplay-wise, but there is absolutely no denying that Deathwing's death at the end of this raid is the coolest death of any villain ever in the Warcraft universe. So the Dragon Soul is empowered by the aspects, and then Thrall shoots a giant laser beam at Deathwing. And then you get to go on an airship and parachute onto Deathwing's back, and then you rip apart the plates holding him together.
Gul'dan, like, I'm thinking about it, right? Is like Gul'dan, I guess, like, overall, it's like, so if you think of, like, the aesthetic of it, I agree, but, like, the gameplay just wasn't really super good. Like, what I imagined the Deathwing fight to be is chasing Deathwing over a giant plane with everybody either riding on the aspects or people in, like, tanks like the Flame Leviathan, and, like, trying to shoot him down in, like, this massive thing, and then finally the heroic only phase happens, and you're in, like, this wreath flame area, and it's just you and Deathwing's human form, and you finally kill him there, right? Like, that's what I was hoping would happen. That would have been way cooler. But, like, the thing is, it's like Bismarck in Final Fantasy XIV. Yeah, it's like large-scale fights are almost always garbage. Like, really, they're almost always garbage. Like, how many good large-scale fights do we have in WoW? Like, or like in Final Fantasy, like, I haven't done all of them yet. So, yeah, like, how much are they? Like, the Jaina, yeah, that's not really it. Let's see, Ulduar, Ragnaros, AQ40, Croesus, not really. Like, it's just, yeah, they just never really get it.
Then Thrall shoots another
Sargeras.
laser beam at him,
That's pretty close,
which makes
yeah.
a giant hole in his chest,
That's
and he
so
falls
cool.
into the Maelstrom, a swirling vortex where he originally birthed from, and the same place
Yep.
where he first betrayed his friends. And as this giant dragon is clinging on for dear life, fire and magma spewing all over his broken
really
body,
cool.
you slowly help push him down, and then finally, Deathwing is defeated by Thrall shooting another giant fucking laser beam!
It was pretty cool.
With Deathwing defeated, the Aspects had fulfilled their purpose of defending Azeroth, and the powers granted to them by the
Well, what do you mean they defend their purpose? Like, I never understood this. I never got it at all. Like, wait a second. But what about all of the other problems in like, their purpose? Like, wouldn't it have made more sense that, like, they're relinquishing their powers because they are, it's like they're too dangerous? Their purpose has been to see it with mortal eyes, but they're not even mortals. Ooh. Oh my god. Oh my god, man. What is this, man?
Titans was fully expended. After the Cataclysm, it was now the Age of Mortals. It was up to the people of Azeroth to defend the planet from future threats.
Stupid.
But this does not mean that the Aspects are powerless, but they are mortal now, and are not nearly as powerful as they once were. Even after the Cataclysm expansion, we still see them involved in Azeroth's conflicts, like when they empowered the Heart of Azeroth in Battle for Azeroth.
Wow.
As for the Black Dragonflight, there is an extremely small amount left on Azeroth still alive, and there's an even smaller amount that isn't corrupted by the old gods.
Yep.
Rathion, the Black Prince,
It's those
is
two
one of
guys.
these black dragons who's trying to restore his flight's name.
Anduin, it's been so long.
Bitch!
And that is really
my
everything you need
wife's
to
name out of
know
your
about
fucking
dragons
mouth.
in Warcraft. Of course, there are some smaller details I brushed over, but maybe we can talk about those in another video. And no, wait, we are not done. You know these dragon spawn guys? You want to know the lore behind them? None. Literally none. This is all that's on their Wowpedia page, and they became this way from hanging out with dragons. And
What the fuck? What? What do you mean? Like, this is not a Denuser. It's not a Denuser moment. This is before Denuser even was in the. This is a Metzen moment. That's a Metzen moment. Like, so this someone have 4 legs. Yep, that's right. Well, how'd they get like that? I don't know. Hanging out with dragons or some shit, right? I mean, like, imagine like what would happen. You hang out with a bunch of dragons all the time. Like, maybe you turn into a dragon too, huh? Yeah, you know, that's what it is. And they're like, yeah, it's true. Okay, that's fine. Yep, sure.
what the hell does that even mean? You also got the Draconid, who are half man, half dragons, who are empowered by the flights they serve, but also they became this way just from hanging out with dragons. Again, what?
I always assumed the Draconids were like weird, they were like weird creations of Nefarian. Because, like, you know, you go into fucking BWL, right? And he has, like, all these experiments and shit, like Chromagus, etc. Like, I thought they were an experiment of, like, crossbreeding dragons with humans. But no. They were just hanging out with dragons. Oh, well, shit, that's totally different.
What does that even mean? You got dragon men. These are humans meshed with dragon spawn. Stone drakes. These are actually elementals and not dragons.
What?
Storm dragons. These are storm dragons. I don't need to
That makes
explain
sense,
them.
yeah.
And you have storm drakes. These are another type of dragon that lives in Stormheim that just also exist and barely relate to anything I've talked about for the last 30 minutes. Okay, that's everything you need to know about dragons.
Oh my god. Is you kidding me? Holy shit. Like, I'm gonna say one thing real quick, one thing. This video is a W video. This is a capital W video. Holy fuck, this video is so good. Like, I know why people would want me to watch it for so fucking long. It's because it's a good video. God damn, this is a good video. Absolute W video. On God, true, dude, true. Yeah, this is amazing. I love it. Like, it's just like everything about this was like really, really well put together. And like, I like Platinum WoW deserves more recognition. He's got 200,000 subs though, which is good, especially for like a WoW content creator, especially nowadays, you know. But like, this is a great thing. I'm super fucking happy to see this. Storm Drakes from Odin, because he didn't give the aspects his power. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure, right? But like, this is just so cool. Like, I love the video. I think it's just so well done. Let's read a few of the comments, okay, guys? We'll see what people have to say and what their opinions are of this story itself. But like, isn't that weird though? How like half of the story for the dragons is like so cool, and then the other half of the story for the dragons is like so not cool. It's like dumb. Once the dragon expansion hits, be prepared to take notes. They'll probably retroactively change every aspect of the dragons in the lore. Galakrond eats his own kind and gets mutations. Malygos eats his own kind and regains his sanity. See, that's exactly what I fucking said. How do that work? How do that work? Nobody knows. The problem is they have different writers. Well, shouldn't they like talk to them or be like, hey, so this is like what we're thinking about doing. So like, just try to keep it in like on like the same playing field, right? Like, that's about it.